Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another StarCastTV. I am Schamtoo, pleased to bring you another best of 3 today. It's going to be JYJ versus Soma. We've got a first game here on Circuit Breakers, so let me start off that match as we get into it. Now, TvZ, I am really happy to bring this game to you just because I love both these players. They're a little bit more of the underdogs in some situations, but let's swap on over into the main screen here. Alright, so spawn up here in the top left-hand corner of Circuit Breakers. It is our gray Terran player. It is JYJ. And up here in the top right-hand corner, it is our blue Zerg. It is Soma. Now, Soma, I mean, has become such a strong force in the Korean scene. We've seen Soma play in a lot of the ASLs, a lot of the KSLs. In KSL Season 4, went 1-4 versus Light. ASL 9, we saw Soma go 0-3 versus Flash, I think, for 3rd, 4th place. So we got to the semifinals there. Which was a hilarious match to watch online, by the way, if you weren't watching it online, because, like, everybody had no idea. Anybody who doesn't play BroodWar had no idea, like, how modern TvZ looks. And so they were just making fun of the fact that Soma did nothing but make Mutalisks, which was weird. Meanwhile, JYJ was a Terran for SK Telecom T1, playing in a lot of the Caster Muse Star Leagues and just frequently in the ASL. I don't think we've really seen any really amazing placements there from JYJ, but a frequent, just kind of online player. So that's why I'm kind of just happy to bring these matches to you, because, you know, I just like casting people that I've seen so many times that I've never had really a chance to cast before. Actually, I'll take that back. I have casted Soma a few times. Did show up in my tournament, Have At You. Back in the early days of Have At You, I'd say probably last year, 2 years ago. And I think he was going by Fake Jadong or something like that back then, and finally did take the name Soma. I might be misremembering, I might be different people. But we are seeing that two-hatch style coming out there from Soma, which is pretty trademark of all Zergs right now, but especially of Soma. Just loves to pump out nothing but Mutalisks. Meanwhile, JYJ is going for gas behind this barracks, so I'm expecting to see a factory plop down, but we're going all the way up into 17. Yeah, but we do stop at 100 gas here, so we'll see a factory come down here. Now, this is very interesting because I've seen a lot of Terran players kind of shy away from the mech opening unless it's on that map that they're playing for, like, all the Spawn Bang matches lately, which has like 2 gases in the main. I forget the name of it. So it's really weird to see the mech style coming out here from JYJ, and I'll exactly have to pay attention to what happens here. It's also weird because JYJ is also not pulling all SCVs off gas. At least for, say, the Flash 5 Factory Goliath build, you do pull all SCVs off gas to get the quicker factory out as well as command center. But meanwhile, Soma is going for that lair. We're already halfway done, so we are going to be pretty quick with these mutas. As I said before, pretty much like the standard style for Zerg. So really, Soma's going to have pretty much free reign of map control for a really long time until JYJ is going to be able to pump out enough Goliaths to confidently push across the map. And which case, we're going to have to see how Soma's going to respond to that. A lot of Zergs have responded to this type of play by going for Hydras, but that really results in the Zerg having to get the Terran locked down really hard, do a lot of damage very quickly, because if you aren't able to really punish the Terran with Hydras, you're pretty much setting yourself up for failure. As soon as +3 weapons hits and they have siege tanks, you are out of the game. And so that's going to be a little bit difficult there for Soma to deal with. JYJ, meanwhile, did get the factory. We're getting the shop. We got 2 vultures. We're going to try and probably do a run by here. As there's only a single sunk, there's nothing guarding that ramp. We might try to get that, but I'm not sure if it's going to work. Meanwhile, also JYJ did get the starport here, so it looks like we're not going for any type of factory build here. we're actually just going for that 1-1-1. And I take it back. I have been seeing so many Terrans go for 1-1-1. It has become like so much back in vogue again. And that really does make it interesting and kind of another different type of timer here for Soma to deal with. Really, you really want to get pain on the Terran before they're able to get that science vessel out and kind of do what we, what we call the Hanbang timing, which is kind of like the 10-minute Terran push with the science vessel, 2 siege tanks, and a bunch of Marines and medics. So Soma's going to have to go pretty hard into this. We already start off with an Evo chamber too, so very curious to see what Soma's up to. Spire did finish up, so we're going to see our first 6 mutas come out just as the Wraith comes out too, which is, I would say, a lot earlier than the old 1-1-1 timings that Terran was used to. Pretty much you'd kind of play 1-1-1 versus a 3-hatch, and you would have this free Wraith out here doing damage until about 6:30 when the mutas would finally come out. But guess what? The mutas are out. It's 5:45, so these are very early mutas for the old timing. And they are spanning out looking for any type of Wraith. Meanwhile, JYJ does move into Cloak behind this. Now, that's very interesting. Looks like we're just going to try and catch the Zerg off guard as much as possible. 3 Vultures with speed as well, so any type of opening that they see, they could potentially get into the Zerg base, but it looks like they're not going to find that much of an opening. And so now we go on into preparing for that timing I was talking about before. There's the +1 weapons going down already. We have the Cloaked Wraiths coming in shortly. What this really does is it kind of punishes the Zerg for being aggressive across the map without an Overlord anywhere nearby. Now going for that missile turret, we're going to do a lot of damage on the splash from the Glaives, but not going to be enough. Instead, now the missile turret is going to survive. We're going to lose 1 muta there, or at least take a lot of damage on that muta, with the 2 Wraiths coming in to also help this defense. And this is where things get a little bit dicey. Those early mutas have not done any damage just yet. They've really kind of only defended against the Vultures, and even then haven't really killed any of them except for maybe 1. Now finally going to be able to clean them up. Oh, why would you move the drone back into the Vulture? So Soma, again, as I was saying before, kind of has this ticking time bomb coming in here. And oh my god, there's no Overlords in the main base either. We do have Cloak as well. And we're going to use that. We're just going to jet away. And now these Vultures are able to come in and clean up more and more of these drones. I can't believe there's just a whole bunch of bear drones going to that 3rd base. Things are kind of falling apart here for Soma. Soma is going to have to deal with more barracks coming down now. The +1 weapons should be finishing up in the next minute or so. And here we come, that Vulture going in for that drone again. It survives with 2 health. I'm actually kind of surprised the Wraiths didn't finish off that drone in time. But it doesn't matter. The Wraiths are actually picking up their own victories of taking down another one of these Overlords. So Soma going into Soma things, which is just pumping out nothing but Mutalisks. I'm curious to see what the call is going to be here. I mean, there are 2 missile turrets over here, and now with 11 Mutalisks, we are able to wear these away really quickly. The Wraiths are on the other side of the map. They are going to start taking out some of these drones at the main base of Soma. And we've done a bit of damage here now with these Mutalisks. We've been able to do stop all those SCVs from mining at the natural, but these Wraiths have come in. They've got 6 kills on them. We're breaking down another one of these missile turrets, another one building. That's also going to get taken down as well. And these Mutalisks are doing a lot of damage now, but it's really important for the Mutalisks to also start kind of whittling away the Terran army. If we don't start whittling away that army, we're leading ourselves up into a very difficult spot where later on we might have killed all the SCVs, but that doesn't stop the Terran from pushing across the map and winning. Looks like 1 more missile turret is going to be able to go down here. We're now actually going to be able to also target in on that muta, but an irradiate does go down. We're not splitting that well. Oh my god, so much damage on those Mutalisks. Can we survive here? Can JYJ survive? This is one of the things about Terran, is that it's very stalwart. It's a really strong race in that ability to just kind of lose a lot in this matchup, but still be able to kind of strengthen through. But Soma is doing a lot of damage. It's now 56-43 in the supply count. We have more and more damage coming down here from these mutas. They've found that nice little sweet spot. There's a ton of Overlords over here as well, so if any type of cloaked race get in here, we're just going to be able to kind of push that away. But 2 science vessels is starting to stack up. And I'm actually kind of surprised that Soma did not take out those science vessels at all. And we are losing all of our Mutalisks here. So what are we doing behind this? We do have a Hydra Den. We do have that third base. Oh, a Vulture does walk into this third base. But Soma's just able to clean up so many of these Mutalisks. JYJ's down to... Soma's able to clean up so many of these SCVs. JYJ's down to 15 SCVs. And while we are cleaning up a lot of these drones, 15 SCVs! 15! I don't know if you know that. That's a very low number of workers. We're trying to get that number back up, but we do have 3 science vessels. But 3 science vessels is still, you know, you kind of need things with the science vessels. And so this is very interesting. It seems like behind this Soma is going to go for that lurker technology. We could just overwhelm the Terran, and that's kind of one of the weaknesses of Terran. Without a huge number of Marines, of pretty much everything else, while the science vessels will be able to detect the lurkers as they come in. Oh my god, flying that irradiated Muta all over the SCVs. So much damage. We're going to keep that missile turret alive, though. Even if the science vessels can irradiate a lot of these lurkers, it takes a while for those lurkers to actually die, and so that's kind of like the issue. You need the damage, you need the detection to really deal with a lot of lurkers. And, you know, here's kind of one of those crazy things is that we don't have any comsat scans. We don't know what Soma is up to on the other side of the map, but JYJ feeling confident, gonna push out now. We do have, you know, number of Marines, kinda. Well, medics, kinda. But we do have 3 science vessels. This is going to be a difficult fight here, though, for JYJ, no doubt. As soon as Soma does get that surround of lurkers... Oh my god, there's so many lurkers. Oh my god, there's so many Scourge. This is going to get completely destroyed. There's no way this is going to survive. And we're going to back up into a corner so that the lurkers can get the maximum surround on this. There's the GG. Soma going to take game number 1. And as I expect, Soma is a very strong player. That was a lot of really good plays there. So, curious to see really what JYJ is going to try and bring out in game number 2 here. Because Soma was on top of absolutely everything. So let's see what game number 2 is going to take us to. Neo Sylphid. So it seems like we're playing a whole bunch of ladder maps right now. And let's get on into game number 2. Soma, I mean, just that Muta control was just so strong. And really overall, JYJ, you know, kind of one of those dangerous things that I know a lot of Terrans end up doing. And not to say that, you know, JYJ should know better than this, but the scary thing about investing so much into those vultures, into the speed, into everything else, is that you're really relying on those vultures to get in there and do a lot of damage and stop the Zerg from getting to anything. Really kind of punish the Zerg. Those vultures were able to do a lot of damage once once Soma felt confident enough to go for a third base. But really, you need to do that damage well before then, and investing so much into those vultures and cloaked wraiths, it left a very fragile Terran behind all of it. Not having the huge amount of Marines to deal with those mutas. And also, I mean, thinking about wraiths, thinking about vultures, cloak, speed, all these things, it costs a lot of minerals, which deny yourself the ability to get a lot of those missile turrets up as well. Really kind of just was able to allow Soma to do what Soma does, which is just be a beast with Mutalisks. So let's get on into game number 2 here. As I said, we are on Neo Sylphid. Soma is currently up 1-0 over the opponent, spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner. It is our teal Terran, JYJ. And up here at the 12 o'clock position of Neo Sylphid, it is our pink Zerg, Soma. So curious to see what Soma's up to. It looks like we're probably going to go for a 12 hatch, playing a little bit more of that macro style. Meanwhile, JYJ did open up with that 1-1-1 last game, and it seems like we're going to be following up game number 2 with exactly the same style. We do have that gas coming down here, barracks coming down. We'll see a factory coming up right behind that. And I foolishly thought that this was going to be some sort of mech play. Schamtoo, you're so silly. We don't do mech here anymore. And the spawning pool and extractor now coming down here. So we're going for a very, very quick lair again. Really, we're just not changing up anything from either side. So we'll really have to see just how this game goes in game number 2. I believe game number 1 we did go for overpool into hatchery. I'm not positive on that. I think with overpool into hatchery you go for 530 mutas. I think hatchery into pool it's 545 is when this muta popped out. And I'm only saying this, like, you know, it's funny. I was just watching Artosis talk about, you know, casting StarCraft and all these things. Really what I'm doing is I'm just making notes of these things because if I see this type of play again, you know, I need to know exactly when these mutas are going to come out so I can, you know, clinch out a couple more of those seconds and be a little bit more aggressive with my timings. So the layer is coming down here at now 250. We have the hatchery at the natural finished up, and now we're going on directly into that factory. We are floating a barracks. We are so confident. There are no Zergling coming out across the map, but that's also because we do have this this SCV over here. We have a Gundam in the base. Marine coming in here, just scouting for any type of overlords that it might find for free. And we have a couple of... Oh, I know what this is. Double starport coming down here. All right, all right. So that's why that Marine was popping up over here, just to see if there's an overlord over here, in order to detect if, you know, hey, maybe is this overlord going to scout out that I have double starport coming down here. Which makes me think that JYJ has, you know, kind of thought about this timing, knows that an overlord would be over here at this time, if it wasn't to be kind of at the natural, right? So I'm sure that Barracks also kind of might have been seeing if there was an overlord over here, instead probably knowing that the second overlord would be over here at that time. Or maybe I'm overthinking it, who knows. JYJ does start off with that first vulture out of the map, just kind of scouting around, looking to see if it can find anything. It does find one Zergling. And meanwhile, we do have Soma on the other side of the map, getting that spire up. We're getting a little bit more of that Sim City set up at the natural as well, with the hatchery and the sunken colony to stop that vulture from easily getting in here. And on Neo Sylphid, this is just such a nice setup because you have the minerals right here as well. And the minerals just allow you to have those drones just stop and just clutter up that little spot right there, which the vulture normally abuses. And we'll also keep in mind that we didn't go for that shop. We didn't invest a whole bunch into those vultures. Instead, I mean, we did have to spend everything on the double starport with the double race coming up behind this. We'll find a couple of easy victories here with those overlords, but the spire is just about done here. So we will have to deal with potentially Scourge and or immediate Mutalisks coming out pretty quickly, but we'll get at least one of these overlords down. We won't supply block the Zerg just yet, but we can come in here, take out a couple of drones, be a little cheeky. And behind this, what really Terran normally does is they get Cloak, which we already saw a control tower coming down here. We'll get Cloak. And pretty much normally after that, you get about 3 barracks and you turn this into a push. We can already see the engineering bay coming down here. It's because these wraiths can probably just kind of push away the Mutalisks for now. We did force out a couple of Scourge as well. And I would say actually this NG bay is a little bit late. But overall, I mean, we're doing a lot of damage to the Zerg already. Oh man, this is actually not ideal. Oh, we have to be really careful with these wraiths now. If these missile turrets were up just a little bit sooner, we would probably be in a really great position. Cloak is so close to finishing. Really nice micro there from JYJ, taking out one of those Mutalisks before they're actually able to do that much. And now we can put down a couple more of those missile turrets. We can get that base at the natural there for JYJ. Soma, however, has to play defensive for now. Knowing that Cloak is on the way basically means that these Mutalisks are now just giant liabilities out on the map, as well as the Overlords. We need to rush to Overlord speed so these Mutalisks can be protected from the Cloaked Wraiths. And that really is the victory that JYJ gets, right? Like, you've stopped Zerg from being aggressive. You've now forced them into being defensive. And now you can kind of be a little bit more greedy. We're still pumping out double wraiths, but we're now getting that natural command center up. We're feeling a little bit more free. We don't have to spend that much on missile turrets. We really only have, what, 1 missile turret? 2, 3 coming up. That's because now the Zerg is finally starting to ball up a lot of Mutalisk, and the Overlord speed will be finishing up shortly. So this is where things get a little bit dicier for the Terran, but overall it seems like JYJ is responding correctly. We're going to get into a lot of bio behind this is the normal play. And we'll see if that bio is actually able to do that much against the kind of impaired build order that, you know, Soma had to do in order to kind of handle this. Really, you don't want to be spending so much gas on Scourge. You really just want to be pumping out nothing but Mutalisks. And that's where someone's going to have to decide whether or not to go for, say, Hive Tech or really just mass out a lot of Lings and Lurkers. But Lurkers, of course, cost a lot of gas. So it's a very difficult balance here to figure out how to deal with what is going to be the onslaught of Terran coming up in the next, you know, number of minutes. A Scouting Scourge does come in here, does see that there's still, you know, pumping out Wraiths, and we are now getting up into missile turrets. And I like this, actually, from Soma. We got this third hatchery up. We really kind of economically got ahead because the Wraiths weren't really able to punish that third base coming up easily. And that'll allow for Soma to get into a much stronger position. Oh my god, there's so many Mutos out now. And they do have +1 weapons as well, so they will be able to do a lot of damage to these Wraiths if they ever get caught kind of off guard. But there we go. Now we're finally starting to get all these barracks down. Is Soma going to be able to get into a good enough position against these Wraiths and the bio coming up behind this? We do have a science facility coming down here for JYJ as well. Wow, I cannot talk today. And also interesting is that we're seeing a machine shop come down, so it looks like we are probably going to try and get into, wow, those one-shot that. That's good to know. 11 Wraiths do that. And just kind of trying to lure them back over to the missile turret. Ooh, but I don't know about this Soma. Soma should probably not be fighting over so many missile turrets. I mean, we took out 1 Wraith. We lost so many of these Mutas as well to do that. But we do have a third gas, so we can be a little bit more cheeky here. Soma, as I said, he's a massive... he's so good at using the Mutalisk, but look at how many of those Mutalisk are going down just to harass here. And look at how hurt they are as well. Actually, I don't know about this. There's so many Overlords over here as well. These Mutas can't fight these 10 Wraiths. We're gonna lose a lot of Overlords. And already, we're at 61 and 68. These are all the Overlords that Soma has. This is a huge investment. 5 barracks is now finally coming down here. We do have this science facility out. We'll probably start getting a couple of those science vessels out. The missile turret isn't even falling. Oh my god, Soma is over-engaging here quite a bit. JYJ now taking a huge victory. This is not looking good here for Soma. We're down to 4 Mutas. I mean, we're down to 3 Wraiths as well, but now we're starting to really get medics and Marines out here. And with only that many Mutas as well, it's really easy for the Terran to repair the turret back up. So, I mean, coming in here and harassing is smart, but I don't know how effective it's going to be here. We also now have double science vessels out here. They have enough for irradiate. Oh man, these are where all those Overlords were as well. This is where Soma has to transfer over into a ground army, but we've been investing a lot in this air army. Now getting on top of the bunker, trying to break it. There's an irradiate. Did not split well. Double irradiate at that, actually. And now there's a lot of bio that's going to be able to get unleashed onto the map. Again, we're only at 8 Mutas. And it's going to be very difficult, I think, right now for Soma to actually get that many victories. Really has to delay the Terran from being able to get across the map. Taking out one of those missile turrets, but now it's a ball of Marines and medics. We have to build a huge defensive army here. And I think Soma's going to go for a defensive army as in nothing but Mutalisks. We are able to break this natural, though. But this comes back to my point in game number 1. You know, it might be great to kill all the SCVs and do all these, you know, cheeky things, but that takes a while for that to kick in. If the army is already out on the map, guess what? Killing the SCVs doesn't win you the game. Oh, but we are going to find a lot of these science vessels out here in the middle of the map. We can take these down before they actually are able to put down more radiates. That's going to be very nice. Still 10 mutas versus that many marines. That's a very difficult battle for Zerg to win. And it looks like we're just going to use this time now to just kind of overwhelm the natural yet again. But we have to be careful about the potential of those marines pushing into the natural. They are not going to do so yet. But the mutas are able to break the natural again. We're taking down the missile turrets as they're being built. There's a few more marines coming in here, but Soma's able to do so much damage here. We did get the +1 carapace as well. The science vessel is not useful just yet. We don't have a radiate, and now sunken colonies are able to take out the rest of the fireball over here. The mute is still poking in at the natural. We are breaking JYJ slowly but surely. Soma might have been able to do it. There's a radiate there on that science vessel. There we go. Finally using it. Now coming back with the 3 wraiths from before. I'm actually surprised these weren't defending earlier. But this is a very close match. I'm actually very curious to see who wins this match because, well, I have no idea. I've asked Cruiser lately to start giving me replays with 3 replays no matter what. And now I just have no idea who's going to win. At least that excitement here. Is this going to be a 2-0, or is somehow JYJ going to recover from this? I mean, it's 30-23 in terms of worker count. But if we can start balling up those mutas, we're going to be in a great position. But I don't know. Paltry numbers of both players really aren't helping out either side. I mean, the mutas are going to get pushed away yet again. We've lost that 3rd base. JYJ scouting around the rest of the map with those wraiths. We did get +1 weapons on the marines. And as I said before, we did get the +1 carapace on flyers. +1 weapons on there as well. Ooh, gonna pick up that drone as it's going for the 3rd base again. But another 3rd base coming down here quite close. Hydroden is now finally getting lurker upgrade. And these wraiths are doing, you know, a little bit of harassment. Going to be able to cloak and just get away yet again. Meanwhile, JYJ is continuously pumping out with 5 barracks. And we're starting to mine out of this main base. So we're getting a little bit scary. A little bit too close for comfort here. But God, we have 4 science vessels that we're going to be able to push out across the map shortly. With a lot of marines, and by a lot I mean 12. That's a lot at this stage. So 12 marines, 3 medics, 4 medics actually. I can't count. And +2. Okay, actually, I think JYJ is going to be able to take this. Soma really doesn't have that much out here right now. I don't know how JYJ was able to recover. I think Soma was just trying to get into a better economic position, but well, it's going to come down to the engagement in the middle of the map that's going to inevitably happen here. But still, we're only at like 4 lurkers. I mean, at this point, Soma has to stop all production of anything else. And just make a massive ground army. But here's the thing. I mean, like, Soma's been investing so much on this this air army that the ground army now is going to be very weak. And versus 6 science vessels. I mean that's a nice number of lurkers. But that's it. That's 4 lurkers, leaving a couple of irradiates left. And now we've got siege tanks. This is too strong. I think JYJ has been able to stabilize long enough to be able to take this as a victory. Soma is, you know, building up a lot of econ everywhere. We're pumping out a lot of lurkers as well, but we don't have defilers. We don't have Hive Tech yet. We're just starting Hive Tech. Ooh, we do get a free victory there with that little Science Vessel getting caught by 2 Scourge by Soma. But JYJ is coming in here with a large Terran army. And we're spending all of our lurkers on the other side of the map to kill just 6 Marines. I don't think that that is really the best spending of our Zerg army right now. A couple more lurkers coming in here trying to take out more and more of these Marines. There's a bunch of Science Vessels back here. Can those Scourge catch that full energy Science Vessel? That'd be very useful because, well, that's going to be what we're going to need. Lurkers from before were cleaned up. Oh, nope, never mind. They did Umbrella and walk away. A D-Shield siege tank walks in and sieges up. Meanwhile, there's going to be a counterattack of more Zerg army coming from the back, but it looks like everything at the front of the Natural is going to get cleaned up here. I don't think Soma has enough, even with the lurkers getting on top of the siege tank. Another D-Shield going down there. There's the GG. Soma going to lose game number 2 to JYJ. So we're going to even this up. So it looks like, actually, I was handed 3 games because there were 3 games. And that's just that issue of Zerg. You know, you have to try and break the Terran more than just killing their SCVs. Really, what Soma should have focused on there was killing that army if possible. And maybe it wasn't possible. Maybe that's why Soma made that decision to just go straight for SCVs and hoping that by focusing SCVs, clean up that army, and go into the later stages of the game knowing that the econ of the Terran has been completely sacrificed. He was going to be able to just pretty much dominate later on, but I think also getting like 3 hatcheries at once was maybe a little bit too much. But let's see what happens in game number 3. We're going to Fighting Spirit 1.3. This is like the most standardest of standard maps in the last, I don't know, what, 6 years? And so let's get into our 2 players in the top right-hand corner of Fighting Spirit 1.3. It is our Gray Terran. It is JYJ. And down here in the bottom right-hand corner, it is our Blue Hatchery for our Zerg player, Soma. Now, I'm actually surprised to see JYJ take last game so confidently. I mean, overall, the beginning race were able to do a good amount of damage. We were able to see a lot of back and forth there, and Soma was on top of JYJ's base for a really long time, but I think overall Soma just kept losing way too many mutas, and letting that science facility getting into so many science vessels was just far too much. And you know, you really also have to lend it to a Terran player who, under all that pressure, was able to still get upgrades on time. We had that +2 weapons as we pushed out. We went into such a very heavy Wraith composition so early into the game that that is such a razor's edge. If you accidentally lose all those Wraiths, guess what? Game's over. So in order to actually pull that all off while, you know, still handling the harassment of mutas and, you know, losing all those SCVs again and again, I think we saw just overall great play there by JYJ. Soma, however, game number 3, we're going exactly with the same build as game number 2, that 12 hatch. We're probably going to see the pool and extractor coming down. And, you know, seems like Soma's really not kind of breaking the bank out on a whole bunch of weird builds here. Instead, we're just going to play very standard, practice the normal things. But here's the final offset here from what JYJ's been doing in game number 1 and 2, is we're not going for that 12 gas. Game 1, we went for 1-1-1. Well, 1-1 expansion 1. In game number 2, we went for the double port. So it looks like now JYJ is playing a lot more of a serious game. Not to say that 1-1-1 and 2 port aren't serious games, but this is like the bread and butter standard Terran build. Going for that 15 command center after... No, actually we did not get the supply depot beforehand. So we're getting that really nice econ lead there. That's because the SCV did scout out that this it was a 12 hatch. We're going for that bread and butter Terran build. We're going to be able to build up quite a bit of of an army before the mutas pop, if JYJ so chooses to do so. If you go 2 Rex Academy behind this, it is a very strong chance that you can kind of come out there and punish a Zerg that doesn't really have that much map control, you know, kind of skips around the Zergling numbers. But it actually seems like JYJ is going to go immediately into that refinery behind this. As I said, the lair coming out really quickly for Soma yet again. So Soma's going into, surprise, surprise, another 2-hatch muta play. And so really it's up to JYJ to wow us here, because this is the first time we're seeing JYJ go for this type of build. Now, a little bit scary here is that there are a number of Zergling coming out here from Soma, but JYJ is playing a very standard, or doing a very standard Terran thing, which is noting that, you know, there's the potential that the Zerg's going to try and counter the fact that you're playing so econ aggressive by doing a whole bunch of lings. Guess what? Knows that's going on by throwing out that other SCV to go scout again, and is able to wall up with the SCVs and get into a protective situation. And that's actually really good here for JYJ as well, because you know now that the Zerg has spent a bunch of larvae to try and do something cheeky to you. Like 6 lings is 3 larvae, which means that that's a whole bunch of not drones that have been produced. So that's good for JYJ, but JYJ really isn't going to be able to take advantage of that. It's not like we're going to be able to push out across the map and really punish the Zerg here. 5 Marines versus even 5 Zergling is still a little bit of a struggle there for the Marines if they aren't caught in the best positions. And Soma is getting a lot more Zergling out here, so I think Zergling might be sacked here in order to kind of limit the Marine numbers as we're waiting for the Spire to finish up here for Soma. And that's pretty much like a kind of standard Zerg response here when the Terran is on very few number of Marines. And I think Soma is starting to note, hey, there should be way more Marines out here than there are. In which case, now Soma knows that if he spends a lot of Zergling, kills a lot of Marines, well, guess what? That's not like there's going to be a whole bunch of Marines behind that to really soften that blow. And not only that, but we're also not able to make more vultures. So here comes a whole bunch of Zergling coming in here now, and I think we're going to be able to break this bunker no problem. Soma, meanwhile, does have to deal with a vulture of JYJ on the other side. Actually, though, holy cow, those Zergling were not as effective as I was expecting them to be. And now we've got a vulture in the main base of Soma. JYJ actually is in a really great position now. It looks like the drones are going to get a nice surround on that vulture, do a lot of damage, but that vulture is still alive. 4 kills. Are we going to get a 5th? No. But still, that's quite a bit of damage. And look at this. Soma spending so much on those Zergling. We're only going to have 5 mutas out now. JYJ is now going to have to panic, throw down a lot of missile turrets. Is it going to be enough, though? Is it going to be in time? It looks like, yeah, we are going to get those missile turrets out in time. We're going to take out a couple more of these Marines. And that's actually a pretty good victory as well, taking out those Marines. But so many missile turrets getting thrown down here. And we're actually going into a mech-style army. I thought that was a starport before. Where did that starport go? No, it wasn't. So we're going into Goliaths behind this with a +1 armor. Nope, we're going +1 weapons. Okay. But Soma is already in a pretty good position, I would say, here, because really, like, you really want to have a lot more production going on with those Goliaths by now. And while Soma did take a couple of drones of loss, Soma's already in a pretty good position in terms of already pumping out mutas. Gonna be able to overwhelm these Goliaths already. No Charon boosters just yet. And JYJ has not had... There we go, there's that Goliath upgrade now finally coming in here. But remember that Goliaths don't really do that much damage versus those Mutalisks. And look, without any missile turrets over here, Soma's found a giant opening to harass these Goliaths and the SCVs. The Goliaths have to walk so far forward, and they just do no damage to those mutas. Really, Goliaths need to be in huge numbers in order to actually be effective here. Oh my god, there's so many missile turrets, though. Soma walks into them. That is not good. Oh no, Soma pauses in the middle of the map, as in the middle of the main base, and we're now down to 3 mutas? Okay, so what's going to be the call? We do have a Hydra Den coming up behind this. It looks like Soma might stop muta production and go full-on Hydras. Overwhelm the Goliaths. We're still only on 2 factories. There's not going to be that many Goliaths out here. But we're on a small econ. It's not like we have a third base up yet. We do still have to rely on the fact that we're only on 2 hatcheries. 2 hatcheries worth of hydras, not that many. So it might be that we can't actually even rely on those hydras. We might actually have to just get a couple of lurkers out, which will deny those Goliaths the ability to easily walk across the map until comsats are down, or a science vessel. But I don't know what the call is here for Soma. Soma's in a lot of trouble. We do actually lose another Overlord there, too. I don't know where that Overlord was, but killed something somewhere. So third base now coming down here for Soma. But already we're in a little bit of trouble. We've got 8 Goliaths walking across the map. Did Soma have enough time to make a lot of Hydras? It looks like no. Oh, no, no, no. And we do have an Overlord in the middle of the map here, too. Yeah, we can't even engage that. With 5 mutas, we lose 1 immediately. Oh, nope, we're going for lurkers. That's what I thought. Okay, so we're going to try and delay these Goliaths from getting anywhere by putting a whole bunch of lurkers down. And takes out the SCV before it scouts out the lurkers. We still don't have a comsat. We don't really have that much behind this. We're going now into 5 factories. But these lurkers, as soon as they're able to just burrow, I mean, these Goliaths will just get shredded apart by this. I know, because I've lost so many games like this. And now look at this. The Goliaths have no ability to battle these lurkers. We don't have an academy. And we keep luring these Goliaths back into the lurkers as well. And now at this point, JYJ is probably panicking, throw down an academy. There it is, as I said, panicking the academy down. Oh, but Soma droned up behind this. This is not what you wanted to do here. Gonna lose another Overlord. We're completely supply blocked at this point, and I think actually this is gonna be game-ending damage on the drones. There's just nothing to defend back here. Now the lurkers are gonna be able to burrow, but guess what? The lurkers take a lot of damage from the Goliaths when they unburrow and burrow. The Goliaths are now focusing on the drones. More Goliaths are coming out here. And now, JYJ is going to rectify this error by not having comsats. And we're going to have comsats by the next push, which means that those lurkers, not that useful. So what we need? A lot of Hydras. Guess what we don't have? A lot of Hydras. So I don't know how Soma's going to survive the next couple of pushes. Especially because, I mean, it's just like 2 lurkers holding 1 ramp. And another Overlord going down. We're going to supply block again. And there we go. Will Goliaths just walk over those? We're going to try and make another batch of mutas. Not going to be enough to that many Goliaths with +1 weapons. And there's the GG. JYJ is going to take it 2-0. Or 2-1, sorry. Wow. I gotta say, that was actually not my expected outcome from these matches. JYJ was looking really shook in game number 1. Soma was able to play an amazing game, but I guess JYJ has a couple of builds up his sleeve that really kind of punish those heavy muta plays. And it just seems like if Soma doesn't get what he wants, he really kind of falters. Both times that JYJ got into a position where the mutas weren't really able to do that much damage, Soma fell apart pretty quickly. And that's just really kind of the issue that exists with your opponent knowing your style. So JYJ will take that 2-1. Thank you so much for tuning in to another StarCastTV YouTube video. I'm Schamtoo. Please throw down the subscribe and like on this video for StarCast. And of course, if you haven't checked me out on twitch.tv/Schamtoo, that would be really awesome. Thank you, and good night.